So we are starting here at De Pronomine, line 38 in chapter 35. Concerning the pronoun, the teacher says, Pronomen quid est? Pronoun, what is it? And the student says, Pars arationes, part of speech, quae pronomine posita, tantundem paene significat, personamque interdum recipit, which in just the same placed in place of a noun or placed on behalf of a noun signifies almost the same thing and sometimes receives person. Genera pronomina quae sunt? The kinds of pronouns, what are they? Ed adem ferre quae et nominum. They're pretty much the same which there are of nouns. Masculinum ut quis, masculine as quis. Femininum ut quae, feminine as quae. Neutrum ut quod, neuter as quod. Commune ut qualis talis trium generum ut ego tu. So common as talis and qualis, those are masculine and feminine forms. And then of three genders, trium generum, as ego and tu. So that is to say, if you say I or if you say you, depending on the gender of the person that is referring to, or perhaps the thing that it's referring to, if you're personifying things, then those could be possibly even neuter gender, but certainly masculine and feminine. Okay, so the business about sometimes receives a person or takes a person, we might say, that's in reference to the fact that you can get first and second person, not just third person reference was with pronouns. So ego and tu would be examples of those. Alright, the teacher then says, Numeri pronomina quot sunt. The numbers of pronouns, what are they? Duo, two, says the student. Qui, what are they? Says the teacher. Singularis ut hic, singular as hic. Pluralis ut he, plural as he. And then the teacher says, Personae pronominam quot sunt. The persons of pronouns, what are they? Or how many are they? Sorry, quote is how many. And the student says, Tres, three. And then the teacher says, Quae, what are they? And notice quae is the feminine what, because persona is feminine. Prima ut ego, the first person as ego. Secunda, second person, ut tu, as you. Tertia ut ille, the third person as he or that one. Alright, and the teacher says, Casus item pronominum quod sunt. Likewise, the cases of pronouns, how many are they? Alright, and the teacher hears from the student. The student says, Sex, six. Quimad modum et nominum per quos omnium generum pronomina inflectuntur. As also of nouns, so six cases as there also are of nouns, through which, per quos, all the kinds, the pronouns of all kinds, let's say, are inflected. Now, when we talk about things being inflected, inflections are the endings of nouns, right? So we talk about that in English as well here. But our word inflection and to inflect a word comes from this Latin root, inflectere. Okay. De verbo, concerning the verb. Verbum quid est, says the teacher. The verb, what is it? And the student responds, Pars orationes, a part of speech, cum tempore et persona, Sinekasu, with time, or we could also translate tempora here as tense, and person, without case. Aut agere aliquid, aut pati, aut neutrum significans, signifying either to do something, agere aliquid, or to endure or suffer something, pati, or neither. Okay, that's the neutrum. Modi verborum qui sunt. The moods of verbs, the manners of verbs, but we use the term mood for the grammatical here. What are they? Okay, and here we're going to list the moods. Indicativus ut lego. So the indicative mood as lego, which of course means I read. Imperativus ut lege, the imperative mood as lege, which of course is the command read. Optativus, the optative, ut utinam legerim. Optative, by the way, is meant to express a wish or desire, and it gives the example utinam legerim. I wish I might read, would that I were reading. Conjunctivus, conjunctive, or as we usually call it, subjunctive, ut cum legam, as when I should read. Infinitivus, the infinitive mood, ut legere, as legere, or to read. All right, and then the teacher says, genera verborum quot sunt, the kinds of verbs, how many are there? Quatuor, says the student. And the teacher asks, quae, what are they? And notice quae is the neuter plural because genera is a neuter plural word. And here we list them. Activa, the active type verbs. Passiva, the passive type verbs. Neutra, the ones that are neither. And deponentia, deponent type verbs. Activa quae sunt, the active verbs, what are they? Quae in o desinunt et accepta litera faciunt ex se passiva. The ones which end in an O, that is in the I form of the present tense, they end in an O, and with a letter R received, they make themselves passive, or they make passives from themselves. So it gives example, ut lego, as lego, which means I read, active, and then if you add the R on the end, legor, it makes a passive out of itself, so legor means I am read. Continuing with the verbs, passiva quae sunt, the passives, what are they? Quae in desinunt, the ones which end in R, et eadempta rediunt in activa, and with that taken away, eadempta, they return to the active. Ut legor, lego. Okay, so it gives an example again using legor, I am read, passive, and then you take the R away and it goes back to lego, I read, active. Okay, and then the teacher asks, neutra quae sunt, the neither one nor the other, what are they? Okay, quae in o desinunt ut activa, sed cepta litera latina non sunt. Those ones which end in an O as the actives, but they're not Latin words with an R sort of added or received on the end, right? And it gives examples, ut sto curro, as sto, I stand, or curro, I run. And then it tells us in parentheses, stor curror non dicimus. We do not say stor, which would mean something like I am stood, and we don't say curror, which would mean something like I am run, right? So basically, these are what we might call intransitive verbs in English. In modern grammatical terminology, we call them intransitive verbs. So these neutra verba, these neither verbs, are what we call intransitives. Intransitive verbs, you can't have a direct object with them really. Unless you could say like I run a running or I run a race. Basically, race is just what you do when you're running. But typically, intransitive verbs don't have direct objects, and they can't be made plural. I'm sorry, not plural, but passive. They can't be made passive. All right, then the teacher says, "Deponentia quae sunt." Deponents, what are they? And the student says, "Quae in disinunt," ones which end in r, ut passiva, as the passive verbs, sed eadempta Latina non sunt, but with that taken away, that is with the r taken away, are not Latin. Ut luctor loquor, as for example, luctor, which means I wrestle or I struggle, and loquor, which is I speak. So what it's saying here is these verbs always look passive. You can't ever make them into an active looking form. There's no lucto, there's no loquo. They're always in the passive. All right, and the teacher says, numeri verborum quot sunt, the numbers of verbs, how many are there? Duo, two, says the student. Qui, what are they? And notice qui again is masculine plural because numeri is masculine plural. And the student says, singularis ut lego, singular as Lego. Pluralis ut legimus, the plural as legimus. So Lego, of course, singular, I read, legimus, we read, plural. The teacher says, tempora verborum, quot sunt, the tenses or times of verbs, how many are there? And then the student says, tria, three. And then the teacher says, quae, what are they? Notice quae is the neuter plural because tempora is neuter plural. And the student lists praesens ut lego, present as Lego. Praeteritum ut legi, past as legi, I have read. Futurum ut legam, the future as legam, I will read. Quot sunt tempora in declinationem verborum. How many are the times or tenses in the declension, or we might say the conjugation of verbs? Quinque. 5. Quae, what are they? And the student says, praesens ut lego, present as Lego, I read. Praeteritum imperfectum, the imperfect past tense, as legebam, or ut legebam. And of course, legebam would be I was reading, or I kept reading, imperfect. Praeteritum perfectum, the perfect past tense, ut legi, as legi. And legi would mean I have read. Praeteritum plusquam perfectum, the more than perfect past tense, we could translate that, or the pluperfect tense. Ut legeram, as legeram, which would mean I had read. Futurum, future tense. Ut legam, as I will read. Now here they've actually left out the future perfect, which we also talk about sometimes. That would be like legero, I will have read. Okay, and now the teacher says, personae verborum quot sunt. The persons of verbs, how many are there? Tres, says the student, 3. And then the teacher says, quae, what are they? Prima ut lego, first person as Lego, I read. Secunda ut legis, the second person as legis, which is you read. Tertia ut legit, third person as legit, which is he or she reads. And then the teacher says, da declinationem verbi activi. Give a conjugation of an active verb. Okay, well that concludes the verb section, so that's a good place to end this video lesson, and we'll stop there.